to join the show, and I'm very excited to listen and to attend to your presentation.
Nearly as excited as I am, but yeah. This one, right? Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Is the sound level all right? Okay, I'm going to take you through a journey of hope, and then despair, and back to hope. And one of the things that has struck me here is, first of all, I'd like to thank Arlindo and Hugo for introducing me to Arlindo and inviting me here. And I think it's just worth giving them a round of applause because they've done an amazing job of putting this together and keeping it running. Hope over here, because when I listen to all the people that have spoken before me, who are immensely more qualified than I am on just about anything, I was struck by a sort of leitmotif, a chord, a commonality between all of them, from people who've worked in the armed forces, to firefighters, to people who've explored, people who've worked in the police force. And I think there's one thing that all these people have in common, and it is the fact that they don't cut corners. And when you're on the cusp between life and death, cutting corners is what you don't do. And in a while, I will be talking about people who do cut corners. But initially, I think it's important just to stress that these are the people who give me hope. And these are the people who I think are the ambassadors for life in water, life in the ocean. So these are the people who can propagate and communicate the value of that part of our planet. My own journey started on holiday. How many people have been on holiday with their mother as an adult? Hands up. It can be a little bit challenging, and I was on holiday briefly with my mother because I tried to keep this to a short number of days. And she used to buy a newspaper, which I really didn't value very much, and she bought me a newspaper, which I thought was a lot better. And in it was an article about a number of Italian scientists who'd done research on the impact of sunscreens in the ocean. This was 2009. And it struck me profoundly because having spent my childhood partly in the Caribbean where the waters were pristine and clean and clear and the barracudas were nibbling at our feet, suddenly this environment was under threat. And that led me to a moment of despair. And it's there that the story really starts for me. And the fact that these sunscreens were causing death of the coral. So if you take all the coral in the world and the coral that dies every year, 90% of it is due to climate change and water getting warmer, and 10% of that coral death is due to sunscreens. Pretty mind-boggling. And the major culprits are actually greenwash. Are you all familiar with the term? Probably many of you. It's when people tell a truth which seems a good truth but may not have scientific basis. And there are any number of sunscreens out there that I think are fudging the truth. They're a little bit playing with it. And they do that in three ways. The first way they do it is they use a word called biodegradable. Now, the sad thing is about biodegradables that things can degrade, they can disperse, they can go anywhere and still do harm. So biodegradable, frankly, is nonsense. It is not useful in any area, not just sunscreens, but other areas as well. The other way they do it, and I was very pleased to hear that Christine already knew about this, is that they use the word mineral or organic. And that seems to imply that they are all right, they're natural. But the thing about the environment is compatibility. Now, mineral sun filters, which are zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, have been proven to be incompatible with marine habitats. So just using these words is not good enough. And the third way they do it is to use a word, don't include. Now, a number of scientific studies predominantly in Hawaii, have proved that a number of what we call legacy sun filters, which we use in American products, which are slightly less advanced than some of the European counterparts, were harmful to the coral. Now that's a great start, excluding those ingredients. However, it's not enough, because a lot of other ingredients can also be harmful. Fillers, moisturizers, oils, all things that seem harmless, in fact, are not. So unless and until people do complete testing protocols done by reputable marine scientists using established protocols, they shouldn't be making these claims. And in fact, through a US counsel, an expert in matters to do with the Food and Drug Administration, we compiled a report reporting 80 brands to the Federal Trade Commission that were all saying eco-friendly, marine-friendly, reef-friendly, reef-safe, and we could not find the scientific evidence to back that up. Now that was the challenge, and it also underlined the fact that there are no standards, no regulations. It's a free-for-all. It's the Wild West. Everybody can say what they like. And that's really why the challenge came in, and that's when we decided to do something about it. So there had to be another way. And that's really what the approach was, is to determine how could we do something different, and how could we set up a philosophy for a company and a brand. And I take no apology for the fact that I'm plugging my brand as a sponsor and our product, is the fact that there had to be scientific evidence. And testing a whole range of different ingredients that were used in sunscreens, eliminating those that were harmful, only keeping those that were harmless, and making a final product. And testing that again is the approach we took. And the marine scientists we used for that process were the self-same marine scientists who had discovered the problem in the first place. So they had some credibility in the area. And just to put this into context, and I know a lot of you know this already, so apologies, but what is the place of coral in the ocean? It only covers an estimated 0.1% of the ocean bed, and yet keeps 25% of marine life alive. So it's worth keeping, and it has three different roles. One is coastal protection. That's why they're called barrier reefs. They're barriers, and they stop too much invasion of low-level lands. They are a major source of oceanic biodiversity and human proteins, and of course, they're also an important part in tourism. Nobody wants to go to a lovely resort hotel where there is nothing to see under the water. And a conservationist recently said to me, isn't it odd that hotels look after their gardens, prune the roses, mow the lawns, but totally ignore what is under the water? So we had a vision, and it was to have primary functionality of the product is to protect your skin. Let's not forget that. We can get very enamored with the ocean itself and saving it, but first and foremost, the product has to protect skin well. And we worked with specialists in that area first. Then we wanted to keep marine life alive, and we wanted to have scientific proof. And it is on that basis that the product was developed, and it now is a philosophy that permeates through our product development. We're now working on an ocean-safe shampoo next, and it's really what is at the backbone of what we're trying to do. And that in a context where consumers are demanding more and more evidence. Consumers are fed up with being greenwashed. They want to have proof. So that is the brand, obviously, and we have a slightly big ambition that we would like to be on a par with these guys, and I'm looking to you to help us get there. And it's important to just accept that every drop of bad sunscreen we replace is making a difference. Because as we know, when we were over here talking about the nasty things, just one drop is enough to cause harm. Just one drop can cause that viral epidemic in coral. So ambitious goals, bit of credibility for our brand and some of the things that we've achieved in the 12 years since we sold our first bottle. The lady here is somebody that you might know from the heritage of diving. She's Alexandra Cousteau, and she was one of the first people to try the product and say, this is quite good, actually. I'm surprised. So we quote her on the website. I'm not sure if she even knows that, but we do, and we did get her permission. And then we've supported a number of sailing teams and around the world, and recently 1,000 athletes in a desert in Saudi Arabia who were competing under the sun. So it works. And just in conclusion, we had a somewhat challenging situation when we first launched. We have the only patent, as I may have told you, and soon after that, a very, very large company who is one of the leaders in sunscreens decided to challenge that patent. And for 4 years, we had to defend it. And then we won. They lost. They didn't like that very much either. And they appealed. And 4 or 5 years later, we finally won again, and they lost a second time. And as a result of that, we finally got some investment now. And some of the money of that investment we used to make this little brand video.
With the first light of dawn, our ocean bond begins. Every ripple, every crashing wave is a call to respect and preserve this vast living body of water. As we push our limits, the thrill transcends mere sport. It's a profound affirmation of life, at one with the ocean. Our ritual starts with Aethic. It's not just about protecting our skin. It's also about a sunscreen that respects ocean life the way we do. For the breathtaking world beneath the waves needs our help, as countless corals fall victim to harmful sunscreens daily. With Aethic, we become more than ocean champions. We become its guardians. Each drop is a statement that we choose a Reef-Safe Sunscreen with proof we can believe in. We stand together, our love for the ocean reflected in the care we take for ourselves, for each other, and for the life that unites us all. Join us. Take a leap for the ocean.
So in conclusion, coming back to that hope that I started with, you are the ambassadors of the oceanic and aquatic environment, not just for our brand, obviously. We would love you to do that as well, but I think we have a major challenge in getting the brand name ocean embedded further into the public arena, because it really is way down on the scales, and it's a challenge that I think we all face. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Allard.